Good morning and welcome to another Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson. I will be your guide for today. I have a few more channel messages that have come through to help us ascend into different frequencies and creating a new reality here on Earth while everything else is starting to fall away. It really is to do with our ability to extend our imagination into bringing it into reality, and also to just step outside the box with our logical mind, just so that we can accept more than what we've been programmed to believe. There's a couple of questions too that I wrote down that could help you expand your mind. And when I say your mind, I'm gonna refer to your mind as your logical mind. Otherwise, I'll probably say intuition or imagination, which is your right hemisphere of your brain. So this is really to do with bringing both hemispheres together and seeing where we can collaborate. There's a lot of people out there in the spiritual world that say that we're going to go backwards not backwards, but they feel like the only connection is back to Gaia herself and living like cavemen and all that. It's not how it's going to work. There can also be an integration of, what we learned logically and bringing in inventions and stuff, but freedom to explore, not being controlled by another party on what those limitations of our imagination can explore. Because that's our God-given right. That's our right. If we imagine it and we can create it and it brings harmony to our experience, then that is enough for it to be brought forward. There should be no cap on anybody's experiments like Tesla or anyone else's experiments. Should be no buying off and saying that cannot be a possibility in our reality because someone else is trying to control this system for their own benefits. That will fall away. That's what I call the system falling away. So it's more of an expansion of what we've learnt, bringing that in, but also bringing in the gifts of the imagination, bringing in the gifts of connection, that we can now become more aware of feelings, of our vibrational matches, of being able to talk to, different beings like in animals and plants and stuff like that. So there's all these other gifts that are coming in that will grant us a much more expanded reality rather than the limitations of what was put on us in the school system. So this is more to do with collaboration, acceptance and collaboration. We're not going back to the caveman days where we're just living in squalor. We're bringing in all the information and we're learning to use what we know as a whole to be able to create a comfortable, more productive, more expansive, more imaginative, more exciting world. That's what I foresee. So let's get into some of these messages. So this is the 1st of January 2022. This is a discussion on why light workers have been splitting away from their bloodline family, like the family that they were born into, to go and find their soul family at the moment. And I really do believe this is what they were referring to now as the little death. It's part of the clearing out energy, not clearing out from the perspective of we love our blood family. Of course we do, and it doesn't matter what they do and say and act like we'll always have that connection and that love towards them, because we're light workers, right? But clearing out of the energies that are still caught in a different program than where your soul wants to take you. So the little death is kind of referring, in this case, not to say that it wouldn't refer to something else in the overall picture of humanity's little death, but in the light workers case, we will literally feel like there is a death within our connections to our blood family at the moment. This is because this is specifically for light workers. This isn't anything to do with when we go back into the maze and help retrieve and help bring those families out of the program or the matrix, because their families bloodline was also integrated with their soul and soul family as well. So their group of souls would come together. One life, one would be a mum, one would be a daughter, one would be an uncle, one would be a estranged friend and stuff like that, but they're always coming together. Their soul groups come together in that family bloodline as well. And then the next life they will drips and drabs come back and reconnect again with that same soul family bloodline. But light workers didn't do that. Light workers already came as a soul group from a higher perspective, and when they decided to come to Earth to help shift humanity, they were aware enough of themselves and their connection to their soul's tribe to say, we will split and we will put ourselves in different areas of the planet to hold a vibration for that reality. And so we were all placed far away from each other into families that we didn't feel was part of us. So you might have been born, and as a little child you thought, why is everybody else acting like robots and I feel like I'm the only human, or why am I feeling like I'm an alien, or I'm from another planet or something, and they just don't feel like they're right for me, and that sort of thing. But you know that they're family because you were born from that mum, right? So here you are as a light worker, and then where you've gone through all of that journey with your bloodline family and learning about love and helping clear their issues and helping clear your issues, which help clear their issues and so forth. You get to a certain point where now we are being asked to collectively come together as light workers, as a soul tribe again on Earth. Because when we do that, the energy will just explode even more exponentially, or whatever that word is, much bigger, mega. They're telling me mega. And so hence the reason why the powers to be have now put up borders around everywhere, so we can't, made our journey a little bit, well, they say more difficult, but it's also a good reflection of, are we ready? Are we really, truly ready? Because we know as light workers, when we're ready, it will automatically happen. There will be no need to organize and control. I mean, to a certain point of, if you do meet each other, that flow of feeling like we're meant to come together will naturally happen between all of us at that moment where we feel, from a higher perspective, energetic perspective, we're ready now. Because if we force that coming together before we're ready, then it can have dire straits consequences, where you meet somebody and you feel like you're supposed to come together, but it's too much for you to handle, so you just totally take off and not be part of that. We want to have done enough work within ourselves gone through all the hermit stage, the shadow works, all of that sort of thing, purged our ego to the point where it's in balance with us, so that when we come together, we do like a DNA spiral. We come and we are allowed each other to go off on their own journeys and come together, and go off on our own journeys and come together, and that sort of thing. So this is specifically for light workers, where we are now, this is the awakening time for us to let our blood families fall away for now, and then we come together in a higher frequency. And it could just be that we talk to each other on, you know, Zooms and meetings and stuff like that before we literally come together physically, because I think that's going to be another big ignition of each other. So it's a big deal to step into that power, to step into that magnificence of knowing a reflection of ourselves are these other people that are in our soul group. Yeah, so then we will go back in and we will help the families, the soul families that have the bloodlines together, but they won't have gone on the same journey as what we did, because we were put around the earth. We were literally asked to be put around the earth to hold vibration, separated from each other to begin with. Okay, so that was that chat. So another message that I got was the activation of light workers that is happening at the moment. So many light workers throughout their life have had contact with other beings. Could be anything from Pleiadians, Lions, it could be anything, you know, all these other beings that they had their soul tribe in the ether, the ones that are holding purpose. They could be, they're in higher vibration. They could be coming around the planet in starships too. So you might have had UFO sightings and stuff like that at the same time. But they took light workers in sleep mode when they were dreaming, and they not activated, well, they reminded them, I suppose, of specific messages, or they showed them specific things of what's coming, or activated gifts or things like that. And then they would, you would wake up, you'd feel like something happened, you'd have a feeling because you're a light worker, right? But you won't actually know, nothing was activated for being on earth at the moment, at that moment, all those years ago. But now they're telling me a lot of those things are being activated. It's like the energy has shifted enough, and the reflection of certain movies that are coming out, certain people that you're meeting, certain things that are said and spoken, certain codes that have been brought up, certain numbers that you're seeing, certain things that are happening. It activates the memory or the neuron path within your brain that has been just kept quiet from when you were taken by your soul tribe or benevolent beings or extraterrestrials or whatever. And now it's been activated again, so that you start stepping into more and more of your power. So the more you step into your power, the more you find balance, the more you've done the work, the more these activations start to happen. And you'll feel a stronger and stronger connection to not only magnetizing other soul tribe members that are activating as well on earth, but also these beings that are kind of hovering around the earth in light ships or teetering on the edge of this frequency and the next, and so forth. So that's another big thing that's happening. And one of my stories that I can tell you about that was when I had Anunnaki visitation, and I've had visitation by 4 different beings over the span of 10 years, and they each had a group, like a few years that they worked with me. The reason why I'm bringing up the Anunnaki is because this story is relevant to what I've just talked about. So before I met these beings, I woke up to a orange UFO outside my window. Somebody else in the same town saw that UFO, so this wasn't something that was just personally for me. It literally did come to my town. And then the next night, or like, I had all these amazing messages. They've arrived on my phone. All sorts of things were happening. It's a pretty big story. And then they were in my room, which is another story. And then from then on, I started to wake up, but I couldn't wake up. Had that sort of feeling where, you know, the next few nights, or the next few weeks, actually, I think this happened for a couple of months, but I would wake up and you're struggling to wake up, so you couldn't wake up. And I just went, what is going on? Because I don't like that feeling at all. And I had a normal dream, was with my friend in my dream, and then this booming hello, like a low, very booming, very powerful voice just said hello. And I was shook. And I remember grabbing hold of my friend's arm in my dream going, oh my God. And then they told me that's why when we're taking you to ignite certain memories, certain activations, certain information of wisdom that's going to come to you in the future, we take you and show you these things, but when we bring you back, we need to put you under anesthesis, some sort of anesthesis, you know, where you're put to sleep. I can't even remember the word. And then you are waking up, trying to wake up like you're coming out of being anesthetized. So yeah, that makes sense to what I'm just talking about with the light workers. And I don't believe it's just me. I believe there's lots of us light workers that are going through the same thing at the moment, of being activated and having aha moments, and many movies will activate you. There's certain things, certain codes, certain things that are said, it'll just be like, oh my God, I understand more than that's just been spoken. And I would write it down. But you know, that's personally what I would do. You've got your own journey and your own path. You need to do what you need to do. So, okay, I'm going to now go into some questions that I was told to talk about so it can activate you. So one of them was, if you forget something completely and all others in your reality reflect this as well, does it cease to exist? Is the only thing that holding reality together is the only thing that is holding reality together your awareness of it? I feel this is why we have an imagination. For many codes are held within the imagination, which can act as a kind of a soul memory or a connection to the Akashic records. It is here where we can pull many lost truths into present moment to once again focus on and recreate this lost ability. For everything imagined is possible, but being on the edge of all possibilities is on the edge of one's imagination. So they asked me to also bring up my daughter's, what she said when she was 4 years old. She just turned 4, and she started bringing up the word Enyon. And she said, I know where Enyon is. I'm just trying to retrieve exactly what she said so I don't discredit. It's a place where everything is everything. But we live in our minds now, Mummy, but we also live in Enyon as well. You can look it up, but you have to thank me for this one. It's a place where rainbows can become ponies and ponies can become rainbows. It's and I did look it up in Enyon. I have brought this up in a couple of other videos of the past, but it is actually, Enyon is a particle that resides in 2 dimensions. It resides in fermion and boson, and it is so it can flip from one to the other. And I believe we hold these Enyon particles in our pineal gland, which are activated by DMT. So we can flip into these places where everything is possible, what we could call, I suppose, the Akashic records, and then we can bring them through into our reality and create our reality around those imaginings. So we're that powerful. And that's what we're slowly learning to remember again, the magnificence of just how powerful we are, that we don't need to be following somebody else's fear-based reality anymore. Another question that they said to bring up: why is it when you see someone achieve something that you first thought was impossible, all of a sudden becomes possible for you because you saw them do it? Is this because your limited thoughts created that boundary for you, but you wanted to experience it so bad that your mind allowed you to come across that expansion of that limitation through somebody else achieving it? So was there even a limit to begin with, other than what your mind has limited you to? It seems asking the questions, can I exceed my limitations, brings you to the story so that you can. And following that up, why is it that the people with the strongest will to succeed does exceed, even if they don't have the skill set to match that? I've literally seen this in art communities, where time and time again, here I am doing a perfection. My art I have not sold much of my art at all. And I do look back at it and go, wow, when I was, starting up drawing, I was actually really good, but I didn't feel it inside me. I didn't feel like I was ever good enough. So in reflection, I never sold any of my art, never become an artist. And here I am looking at other people who, put, just draw one line and sell it for $1,000 and that sort of thing. That's what I'm meaning with the strongest will to succeeds rather than the skill set. And why those that become head of departments don't really know what they're doing, but somehow get the job, while others who know better struggle to be seen. Or a person with a handicap overcomes that handicap and becomes best in their field, even though they have it. My first encounter with this was when I was playing card games and board games with my mum, who I always felt, since I was very empathic, that she had a strong will to succeed, to win. And so she did. She actually did win. That wasn't, even though the game was of luck, she still always won. And I've seen it on a video too, where a little 2-year-old boy that hasn't been programmed with reality, and his father just accepted his ability to be naturally good at what he did, could throw a basketball on a hoop wherever he was. He just threw these basketballs. He could throw it backwards. He could throw it forwards. He could throw it whatever. He just constantly got hoop after hoop after hoop, bouncing off walls from a 2-year-old boy's perspective. That's because he believed 100%. He knew he didn't have any resistance. There was no resistance of it not coming to fruition, no resistance of, in his reality, of it not becoming. And probably as he grew up and he saw he probably would experience other people's doubts and stuff like that and feel into their doubts, and then the resistance will start developing. So we have way more abilities than what we've given ourselves. Yeah. Another question is, why is it when we were young kids, it was natural to talk to animals and to plants and to have imaginary friends and feel like we're actually been heard? I mean, if you can imagine when you were really little and you talked to somebody, like a plant or an animal or something, you literally felt like they could understand you, or you felt like an imaginary friend was talking back to you. And then as we grow older, we become aware of our environment and other people within our reality who tell us we're either crazy, or we start to just even feel off them, that this is not accepted. And as a soul coming into a human's program, into a human's perspective of what reality is, souls want to live in the reality that they come into so that they can be accepted. We want to be accepted. So we end up accepting that limitation of that's not kosher, that's not right, we shouldn't be doing that. So this is because the system, our education and generations of fear games held us belittled in the intuitive feeling side of ourselves, which has created a society built upon logic only, which, by the way, is very easy to control from another person's point of view, who uses fear to manipulate the already victimized imaginative side of ourselves to imagine and focus on a reality that they want. So, when we have been belittled like that through our education, through our parents, through just feeling that this isn't right anymore because we're feeling into what is accepted, us denying our imagination, denying our connection to plants, to animals, and Gaia and everything else, literally disempowers us. And then the program itself uses that imagination of fear and wanting to fit in to recreate a new reality that doesn't empower us, doesn't let us become magnificent in ourselves. Our logical minds have had full control of creating our reality, but there's been no temperance to hear or feel the intuitive mind. We all end up seeking others to guide us instead of allowing our intuitive mind and our soul's connection to guide us. I would like to awaken us to the fact that humanity lives within two hemispheres and two minds, logic and intuition, and that there is a way to bring back balance just by asking our logical side of ourselves, is it logical to dismiss half of our brain? So hopefully that will ignite you more into thinking beyond what we've been taught and get you into expanding your reality a little bit more. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Love you guys heaps. I'll be back with some more messages, channeled messages. Love you. Bye.